back for the week. Hope you had a good weekend. Let's see what all we got to do. My computer's really slow this morning. It's this afternoon now. But we are now moving on to bigger and better things. I hope that you've noticed how much of this you kind of already knew. You just didn't know what to call it, or you didn't know what professionals called it. How much of this just makes sense and is good planning. I'm very pleased with the reports and the assignments that I'm getting from you. This week, I want us to do chapter 11 and chapter 12. This is going to be the chapter 11 exercise, lecture right here. And of course, do what you normally do. There's the PowerPoint without the lecture and the assignment and a video case study. We'll also do chapter 12. I'll go ahead and open it because the PowerPoint's ready, but I haven't got the lecture finished yet. And I want all this by Friday. Most of you are caught up. I am very pleased with what you're giving me back in these assignments. They're pretty simple, but they cover very important things. But I want to challenge you to make sure that you're not thinking about what you like unless you are in that demographic. Think about what other demographics other people want. Most of you are doing that. I'm getting good feedback, but occasionally when you say, I think, I would, I don't want to know sometimes what you think. I want you to think about what other people think. It's very important, once again, to know your audience, and everything in this book and in constantly reminding you of that. So chapter 12 also has the usual exercises, assignment 1, assignment 2, and assignment 3. And then there's an expert sessions videos. You watch those and take this quiz. And I want all this by Friday. I'll write something up and give it to you. So we're going to talk about promotions overview and focusing on advertising. Most of you will make your money in some form of advertising, or you'll have to create some form of advertising somewhere down the line, even for nonprofits, something that, lets people know how to give money, or a project coming up, information. You have to market it, PR, promotions. The entry-level promotions jobs are great jobs for our students. Right now, though, with the COVID going on, radio and television stations are not going out and doing a lot of community outreach, a lot of remotes. That will come back, but right now, they're not doing a whole lot of it. But keep an eye on that. They're still doing promotions, and they may still need people to do things. So check the radio and television station website, especially the radio stations, because they've had quite a few of our students over the years, and people have moved on up to other jobs. Our objectives for this chapter: understand the elements of the promotion mix, describe the characteristics of the different advertising media, learn how to break through promotional clutter. There's a lot of information out there, more than we've ever had to face. How do you stick out? I remember teaching a graphics class one time, and I asked a student why he had chosen to make his design in such a strange, unusual, bad way. He said, I want to stick out. I said, you're sticking out like a sore thumb. It's bad. What I always say is, you want people to go, wow, that's wonderful. How did you do that? You don't want them to ask you, why did you do that? Area of promotions means communicating with the customer. In the end, that's what it's all about. But in this case, it may not be to sell a product per se. It might be to just make people feel good about the organization, the company, the message, maybe a little PR. maybe a little my shiny forehead. How do I fix that? I'll go back to the office tomorrow if nothing happens. And I hope I can have better facilities to do this, finish these up. Promotions use external communications outside of the company. This is company employees, but they also promote inside. Public relations also, in many companies, serves the employees, staff, and everything. Like our college, our promotions department, our PR department rather, our public relations department. Yes, they maintain the image of the school, and they talk to news media, and they try to get word out that something good's happening. But they also are very involved in getting information out to faculty and students. The marketing department, they're the ones that do the ads and stuff like that. So there's two different departments, and that's the way it usually is. PR, not concerned with placing ads per se. The marketing department is. Although we'll talk about PR in a minute, PR does sometimes buy ads. We'll talk about that in a second. So external communications and persuasive communications. We're always trying to get people to see things our way. And the other class, we just talked about public relations in the intro class, and I had a student say, public relations are there to cover up your mistakes, and that I marked it wrong. That's not true. You should never cover up anything. Companies that succeed, when they make mistakes, face them head on and fix it. For example, British Petroleum, BP, big oil spill out in the Gulf of Mexico. What, going on 10 years ago now? Been a while. The Deepwater Horizon, that was bad. That was an accident. BP did not want to spill all that oil in the Gulf of Mexico. They lost a lot of money, but instead of saying, oh, whoops, we didn't mean to, oh, it wasn't our fault, it was the contractor, they took responsibility immediately. They got people who live on the Gulf Coast, and a lot of their employees do because they have so many places to, refineries and oil tanks, oil derricks out in the Gulf. And they said, we live here too, we want it cleaned up right away. And they worked hard to let people know they were doing something about it. So their public relations went into overdrive saying, hey, we know it's bad. We know we're responsible. We didn't mean to, but we're fixing it. That's what you do. That's what PR does. Now, of course, many companies over the years have tried to cover up mistakes, and they almost always get in trouble. So don't cover up. All right. The key goal in promotion is how to communicate that you exist and the value you bring. And like I said, that could be a product, it could be a message. Right now, we're seeing people communicate and offer value for a lot of social issues. Some officially, some informally. A lot of companies have had their PR departments let everybody know that they're on the side of diversity, and they're horrified at some of the events of the past 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes companies that really don't, they didn't have to do that. I mean, they make widgets or whatever. And they said, no, we're gonna speak out because people know us, and we're gonna stand up for what we believe is right. So they weren't really advertising their product. They were making a statement saying, we believe in certain principles. This is what we stand for. And it does make people feel good about the company. It makes people feel more confident, gives them more credibility. And I'm getting ahead of myself. You know you're a marketer if, well, of course, that's not a bad cartoon, but I don't like that drawing. I don't know why I chose it. I think I chose it just because of what it said. A marketer seeks to communicate in a way that a customer understands. Remember, we talk conversationally. Now, if you're doing technical sales, technical marketing of high-tech machinery, yeah, you got to be able to talk the Star Trek talk. But even then, You want to be able to talk to them one-on-one like real people when it comes down to brass tacks. All promotional strategy should be done with the customer in mind first. Remember, you got to know who your customer is. This is the key to promotion success. You got sales promotion, that's usually short term. Maybe they've got a lot of stuff they want to get rid of and they'll have a big sale. Or it might just be a sticker at the cash register, say, buy gum, 2 packs for 2 for 1, you know, very temporary. Public relations, that's the practice of managing the spread of information between individual and organization and the public. That can be, of course, a commercial company. That can be, again, the college has a public relations department. Most industries do. There are public relations companies that serve small business. Most of the time, they're concerned with having people have a positive image about them or their message. It's not really to sell products per se, but of course, if you feel good about a company, you'll sell more products. A company will sell more products. They also want to make stockholders and stakeholders feel good about the company. For example, choose your favorite soft drink. When you see them play a commercial that really doesn't sell the drink, but promotes a cause or a feeling, of course, they're spreading the name of the soda pop around, but the company's trying to also just fill you with that sense of happiness. That's really what they've got to sell. We've mentioned this before, and that's why I use it as an example all the time. They're all selling flavored water, flavored colored water, either sugar sweetened or artificially sweetened. It's a chemical beverage. And there's a little bit of difference in taste, but they're selling basically the same thing. So they're selling an image more than they're selling the product. And sometimes companies won't even mention the product, like in the past 3 or 4 weeks since the death of George Floyd. A lot of companies have come out and said, this isn't right. We stand with our employees and our customers and so on. So anybody that cares about that soda pop is a stakeholder. That includes the employees of the company, the distributors, the customers, the stockholders. Anybody that has an interest in it, those are stakeholders. They talk about stakeholders a lot in media and in public relations. Personal selling, that's one-on-one selling. I'm going to spend some time on that later in the semester. I want to finish the semester out because we're in the last unit, and we should finish that up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll have 2 more weeks or so. And I want to talk about analytics in more detail. We'll talk about it some in this unit, but I want to talk about it by itself. I also want to talk about sales by itself and freelancing, of course, the last couple of weeks of class. Direct marketing, that's like telemarketing, direct mail, still a lot of direct mail. Of course, we just had a primary election, and I bet you all got a bunch of mail. I know we did. And I didn't vote for one person because I didn't like what he said about the other person. I didn't really care for the other person either, but I forget what it just struck me bad. And I said, I'm not voting for this guy because the issue was not an issue the state can deal with. They will call somebody out on an issue the state can't handle because it's out of their jurisdiction. Like abortion. The state cannot make abortion illegal. It's a federal, the Supreme Court has ruled that it's legal. Until the Supreme Court changes that, you can't make a law outlawing abortion. Whether you are for it or against it, it's not something you can do on the state level. And to call people out on it, to me, on the state level, says, what about everything else? You know, you're not going to make a decision on that. What about everything else? Because there are other issues that are important. And so that was why I didn't vote for that guy, because he called them out on an issue that they're not going to vote on. Shut up. It wasn't abortion. I just use it as an example. So there's still a lot of telemarketing. You get a lot of these spam calls. I wonder how much money they really make from people. I know there's gullible people who will go, okay. But I've never bought it. No, one time. Let me tell you the story. I did buy something from a telemarketer one time. He called me. This has been a long time ago. And I said, I'm not interested. Thank you for calling. It's before we had cell phones. That's how long it's been. I may have had a bag phone. I don't remember. And he said, wait a minute, wait. I just started this job and I'm a vet and I need the money and you're the ever how many person that's turned me down and I just want to sell you some light bulbs. And he told me about them, told me what kind they were, told me about the company. I realized he was legitimate. I bought his light bulbs. That's the only time I can remember ever doing that. So people said, well, he was just telling you that. Maybe, but he convinced me that the light bulbs were legitimate and that he needed to sell. Whether the story was true or not, I'll have no way of knowing, but he's either a good actor or he was telling the truth. And so I did buy that, but I just hang up. And now that AT&T, I have Verizon. Now that Verizon's putting potential spam up there. Also, if I get a call from the low country, I don't know anybody between Augusta, Columbia, and Charleston. I know a lot of people from here to the Midlands and down in Charleston, but if you call me from Denmark, South Carolina, I'm pretty sure you're not a friend of mine. Not that I wouldn't like to have friends from Denmark. I don't know that I've been there. I may have driven through it. So direct marketing is still a thing. And if you'll notice, maybe you've got grandparents you don't live with, they probably get more junk mail than your parents do, or you do if you live alone, because they're part of that target market that still responds to mail. Telemarketing, like I said, I don't mind hearing from companies I do business with, but I don't like just the random calls, cold calls. I hang up on those. Advertising, we've talked about that so much in our program. You should know what that is. You grew up watching it. You know what advertising is. It's when you pay for an ad to try to promote the product or the message to a potential customer or receiver. Promotional mix, I'll let you read that because we've talked about it so much. Understand how that has a part of it. Sales promotions. Once again, short-term and immediate purchase are the key words. They aren't designed to last forever. They're designed to be temporary. They're often done when you need to get rid of something really quickly. They also or you're trying to start a new product, try to launch a new product. You might give away a bunch of coupons and some free samples, or you make it cheap. You can also, there's some products that start out priced high. I believe we've talked about that in this class, haven't we? And then lower the price as time goes on. It's a kind of product that may have a slight prestige to it, get people liking it, try to make a lot of money up front, and then start selling it cheaper. Now, of course, a lot of times people, especially drug companies, will try to sell their products at full price to recoup their investment. You know, I don't like high drug prices any more than anybody else does, but I'm not sure sharing the screen, am I? But I also know it takes billions of dollars to create a pharmaceutical, and they want to recoup that money as soon as possible. That's legitimate. But of course, we have seen pharmaceutical companies that were ripping people off by charging 5,000 times more than it cost, literally. And that guy went to jail, the Farm Bro. Remember him? You don't look it up, Farm Bro. PHARM Bro. Douchebag. Anyway, like I said, free samples, coupons, price promotion, frequent user program. You know, maybe it's a service like an airline. Airlines right now, or airlines for years have been giving frequent flyer miles, and hotels, so you'll keep coming back to them. You know, anything that you use over and over again will often give you a frequent user discount. Those are all price promotions and they're temporary. The big sales don't last long. That's what got JCPenney in a little bit of heat. As we mentioned several times, they're struggling. They're closing the one in Anderson. Just read last week. But they used to have all kinds of discounts and coupons, and the guy that took over decided he wasn't going to do that anymore, and people were so used to it. I think he had a good plan because it had worked at where he'd been before, but the customer was so used to getting things at a great discount, it kind of backfired on him. I think it was just the nature of the beast in that case. I don't think it was poor planning necessarily. I think JCPenney had just been doing that business that way for so long, it was hard to make their base change their minds. That's why newspapers have had a hard time getting people to subscribe online, is because they gave it away for so long. I think it's the number one reason, besides other media changes. Anyway, so the benefits of sales promotions. So you got a lot of inventory, you want to get rid of it. I seen like at the end of the season, like in September, you go to Walmart or Kohl's or Dillard's, and you can buy swimsuits if they have any left for next to nothing. Right now they cost 30, 40, 50 bucks, depending on where you buy them. But September, if you find one somewhere, it's probably going to be $10. Effectiveness can be measured in how you sell things, sales promotions. Did it work or not? Did we get things out there? Did the message get spread? Did we sell more? Did more people respond to the message? Promotional costs will vary with volume and how long you do it. So if you offer a price cut and you have a good response, it'll cost you more. But that's what you were aiming for, to get good response. So you got to be careful not to give away the farm, I suppose. It reduces risk in initial trial, like a new product, free coupons. Pretty much said all of this. Let you read it, read the book. Public relations, the practice of managing the spread of information between the product, company, organization, or brand and the public stakeholders. I already mentioned that. While advertising involves direct paid messages designed to lead a customer toward a purchase, public relations is more about building goodwill and managing the brand or the company's image. Once again, I will remind you, they're not there ethically to cover up your mistakes as a company or an organization. The United Way several years ago got in trouble because they were paying their executives a huge amount of money, more than, if you're going to be an executive of a large organization, you're going to make good money. And to compete and get good leadership, charities have to pay good salaries. But these people were making way more than they should and getting more of the charity money than they should. And it made them look bad. So United Way still spends time reminding people how much money goes to charity and how much goes to running the company, running the organization. People deserve to get paid, even if they're raising money for a good cause. But, the United Way and other charities try to get free ads, but every now and then they will purchase some for public relations reasons. But usually public relations is more about doing things and reaching out. The basic press release. Tri-County Tech, when a teacher wins an award, they send out a press release. When I came to work at Tri-County Tech, I was a morning show host in Anderson, and I was well known, and it made several area newspapers. The PR department said, "We've got John Woodson, who has been in media, yada, yada, yada." Now nobody remembers me. Washed up. Key benefit to public relations is credibility. You kind of got to blow your own horn. You don't want to lie, but you need to work on, you ought to do that now. The students you go to school with who you can't stand or goofy all the time, me, people who 10 years from now you don't want to see, hopefully they'll change by then. But they need to think about that. If somebody is a real big pothead and everybody knows it, 10 years from now, that person may have stopped and be an upright citizen and great media professional, but you'll remember that, so you need to be doing, I'm not calling any of y'all potheads, because I don't know. I don't think any of you are. Seriously, in this class, you could be. It's your business. Make your own brownies. Eat a lot of Doritos. It's your business. It's not mine. Not recommending it. Just none of my business. Anyway, Um, so advertising is paid for by the company, but PR usually is what they try to get free of charge. And usually when they do something good and they get coverage, it does give more credibility because they didn't buy it. Of course, they're going to say what they do and who they are is wonderful when they buy the ad, but if somebody else says it, more credibility. By communicating through means like news reports, customers perceive information is more trustworthy. All right. Now, every February, I go with the National Association of Broadcasters, specifically the South Carolina Broadcast Association, to Washington. And I lobby our congressional delegation on behalf of broadcasters. They take me because I was a broadcaster. We're a member of that organization. Our department is. And I'm an educator. And they can literally say it's for the children. And it is. They hire you guys. Broadcasters still hire more students than any other organization out of our program. Although the other organizations and other non-traditional media are hiring more and more people. So I go and I don't lie to our Congress people. I tell them, hey, they're hiring my students and we've got a good program, and they're part of the reason because they supported it with their money, scholarships, and hiring practices. Promote positive brand image, manage publicity, maintain investor relations. Now, Duke Power. If you've got Duke Power, you don't have a lot of power options. Whoever your power company is, you don't have a lot of power options. You don't, it's not a competition in the power business. There's going to be more. You can now buy solar power cells. You could get a generator. If you live on a creek that flows fast, you could have your own power plant, and people do that. But Duke Power, they will start feeling some pressure, competition from alternative energy. It's already beginning because just look around your neighborhoods, more and more people are investing in that, and it's going to be more and more common. But seriously, Duke Power has no serious, they have no serious competition right now from another power company, but they still advertise. Why? I can't hear you. Say it again. I'm sorry. I'm not. It's getting to be an old joke. I don't know if I've done it in this class. I've done it in the other classes. They're doing it so you feel good about paying your power bill every month. We're good corporate citizens, and Duke Power historically has been a pretty good corporate citizen. They've gotten more money hungry in a recent decade or two, but they've also built a lot of things, and a lot of things they didn't have to, just as part of the service to the community over the, especially, well, they used to run the bus company in Anderson. Didn't charge anybody anything, didn't charge taxpayers anything. And they would power the lights in some of the poorer areas. They stopped doing that about 20 years ago. Caused a big stink, but they did it for decades. People said, instead of saying thank you for doing it when you didn't have to, they said, you owe it to us now. So they did a lot of PR back then to say, we're still good corporate citizens. It's just that we don't want to pay for your buses anymore, basically. They didn't say it that way. They also advertise for safety reasons. Don't touch those wires. Don't dig up our cables. You'll cause everybody's power to go out. You'll get killed. And they also want to make investors feel good about it. Because investors, if they're happy with the company, they'll hold on to their stock, they'll buy more, and people will make money. If they feel bad about it, they'll sell their stock, and the cost of the company, the price of the company, and their profits will go down. Examples of public relations tools, press releases, speaking at events. I've done that on behalf of the college. I did it on behalf of the radio station I used to work for. I did it for some organizations I was a part of. Giving back to the community. Maybe they'll have a cleanup day. Small businesses do that a lot. They'll, my wife raises money to try to rehabilitate the park at the Anderson Civic Center, Kid Adventure. And that's kind of gone south because of the COVID. But we've had several companies come and help us with cleanup day. It's part of their public outreach. Publications, newsletters, you know, Trader Joe's still, you know, you go to Trader Joe's, they pick up a newsletter while you're there. People still grab it. You know, a lot of people don't want paper stuff anymore, but they'll grab something like that. I still say, so, you know, we used to have a newsletter that came out every week at Tri-County Tech, and we stopped doing it a long time ago. Am I still not sharing the screen? It's usually the other way around, isn't it? I forget that I'm not sharing it. So let's go back and make sure I showed you this. Credibility, promote goodwill, build trust, lobby for a company, promote positive brand image, publicity, all that. I want to do this like those books you had when you were a little kid. They were on vinyl when I was little. It would beep, you turn the page, you know, beep, change the slide. That would save a lot of time for me, not for you. But we used to have a newsletter at Tri-County Tech, and when they did away with it, I thought I liked it because you had something in hand with the announcements. And of course, you have the same thing on ETC, but you got to go open it, whereas the newsletter would sit on your desk for a week. We have a virtual newsletter. I get it in the email every week. I scan it or barely read it. So there's still a place for paper in this world, especially for something, a special publication. Also, as I mentioned earlier, communicating with the public during a crisis. Now, of course, everybody is doing that with the COVID crisis and communicating during the public unrest since the killing of George Floyd. But specifically when the company finds itself in crisis because it's done something wrong or something's happened to it, how the company reacts often speaks volume about, are they going to fix the problem? Are they going to take responsibility? Or are they going to blame it on somebody else? Personal selling, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today. You're still responsible for it for the test. But I'm going to talk a lot about it for the semester. Spend a whole lesson on it because that is a job you can get right out of college and make a lot of money. Stages of personal selling, prospecting, trying to find a customer, looking for potential customers. It's a lot of analytics in this now, and I'm going to talk about that too in this book. And before we go, you need to know about analytics. You might get a job as a sales assistant where your job is to look at the analytics and do the research. They're looking for people like that. You would be perfect. Every one of you perfect for that job. But prospecting, looking for potential customers, and even for charitable things, looking for potential donors or who should receive the message. Now, here's something, whenever I've had people do public service announcements for my radio class, they'll do a public service announcement for the United Way, for example. I've used the United Way as one of the, make a public service announcement for the United Way, and then they'll aim it at the people who need help from the United Way. Well, you don't go to the United Way to get help. The United Way supports organizations that will help you. So people don't show up United Way asking for money. They go to the different agencies and ask for money. So they didn't know the audience. Who's the United Way trying to reach? They're trying to reach donors, not some of the charities under the United Way umbrella might put out a message saying, if you need help, contact us, but not the United Way. They're trying to find donors. That's their audience. And you prospect for donors, just like you do customers. Maybe you're trying to get a grant for something. You look for people who are willing to do that, do the pre-approach. So this is for sales. This is also for job seeking. This is what I tell you to do to get a job. See what's out there, make your pre-approach. You know, somebody make a phone call, maybe call the human relations, send your, approach them, send them the resume, things they ask. Hopefully you'll get a job interview. If you don't, send them a link to your work, close, ask them for the job. Don't ever leave a job interview where you want the job and don't ask for it. Please hire me. Don't sound desperate though. And then follow up after you've visited. Call them up in a couple of days. Say, hey, I really want that job. You do that with sales. You're selling yourself in that case. Personal selling is very particularly helpful in B2B sales, business to business. I remember my grandmother, I mentioned before, had a flower shop, and they were some of their best friends were their wholesalers, because they talked to them every day on the phone. Sometimes they called just to talk. These people would come by and, of course, try to sell plants and flowers to my grandparents. Sometimes they just stop by to see if they need anything, knowing that right now they didn't. Just stop and say, hey, Mr. Fred, Miss Vesta. And I've told you before, I still have a lot of friends from my sales days, all these years later. Direct marketing. That's, again, often direct mail. And it's very good at targeting a demographic. For example, once again, in the election that we just had, they know where to, it's obvious you mail your mailings to people in your district. It's some of the simplest direct mail there is. You don't mail it to people outside your district. Of course, when you buy ads on radio and television, you're going to reach audiences that can't vote for you. But with direct mail, you can reach the people who can vote for you. You get direct mail from us, and you will get direct mail from other colleges when you finish. I just threw away some mail that came to Caroline. Somebody wanted her to do online classes to do a 4-year degree, which she's welcome to do that, but she's not interested right now. I hope she does do it at some point. Direct marketing, direct mail allows marketer to target the audience. I just said that. Advertising. You know what advertising is. I don't spend a lot of time on this. You're more familiar with this than anything. It's what we spend a lot of time trying to teach you how to do. So in the book, because of the prior knowledge the students have, we've included a more in-depth analysis of advertising in this chapter. Function of advertising is to inform, persuade, and remind and reinforce. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because we know this is what all of you probably came in this class thinking we're going to talk about the whole semester. This is one part of the marketing plan. It's not the marketing plan. Unfortunately, a lot of people, that's all they think about is the advertising part. They leave other parts out. But regardless of, marketing itself has the same functions, doesn't it? We're trying to inform, persuade, and remind. PR has the same functions. Inform, persuade, remind, reinforce. But the bottom line here is advertising, you have paid money or traded something for someone to mention you. I'm talking about legal trades, not payola or plugola. For example, the radio station, we used to have a sign at the Anderson Raceway, and we paid for it by giving them free ads. They charged X number of dollars a year. We gave them that much money, that much in advertising. It's called a trade out, barter. To inform, it lets the people know the product exists, the product cycle. I think about the McDonald's McRib sandwich, what they've done with that over the years. It's a seasonal thing for them. It's out now, you better come get it before it's gone. They could sell it all the time if they wanted to, but they've made it a special thing. Advertising can also inform customers as a product to it that's attributes and benefits. And, going back to the insurance ads, they used to be very dry and very business-like and very formal. So-and-so insurance will take care of you and your car and your life and your home. You're in good hands with Allstate. Now they make a big joke and they have something funny and just try to get you to remember the name of the insurance company, because you don't want to lecture on insurance while you're sitting there at 8 o'clock watching whatever it is you're watching. But you don't mind the entertainment. So they're still advertising their product and want you to buy their insurance, but they've done it in a way now where you'll remember it. Persuade, talk you into it. Try to, this is why you need to buy this. and remind and reinforce. Just, you know, we're here. Coca-Cola um, is probably the best known brand name, American brand name in the world. That or Mickey Mouse, as far as a corporate symbol, and of course the Golden Arches. It's better known than Pepsi, but Pepsi gives it a run for its money. But if they didn't advertise ever again, it would be a long time before they lost a significant share of the market. But they keep on advertising. And most of the ads are not about the product, like I said earlier, because you know what Coke is. Unless they're introducing a new beverage, they're trying to make you feel good about yourself. You drink our product, you're good. You're part of the new generation, Pepsi. I like to teach the world to sing, Coca-Cola. Categories of advertising media include broadcast, print, billboards, car wraps. I've always thought that was little, and of course companies do that. They'll wrap their company vehicles in their ads. And I've seen a few people who've sold space on their car for ads, but it's not a big thing because, you know, wouldn't you hate to get somebody to put their ad on your car and they turn out to be a bad driver and a felon or something? That was something about t-shirts. At the radio station, we used to, you know, people always want a t-shirt, and t-shirts aren't cheap. If you buy a bunch of them, you know, it can go on the money. Everybody wants one. But, you know, you usually kept some around. We bring them in, have them for promotional reasons. But one day we saw somebody get arrested on the news wearing one of our t-shirts. You don't want your billboard on the felon, you know. Not saying t-shirts aren't a good idea because we do it in media arts. What used to make my boss angry is women would say, I want a t-shirt because I love to sleep in t-shirts. Wear it outside so people can see our logo. We don't want you sleeping in it unless a lot of people see you sleep. That was inappropriate. He went there. Digital include, I didn't name it at any individual, so you can't do anything about it. Digital includes running ads on social media platforms, search engines, and other websites that we've already talked about a lot. We'll talk about social media marketing too. Or we already talked about that. It's all running together because right now, intro to media and this class are kind of in the same place, subject-wise. Talking about some different issues, but both on chapter 11, we're both just talked about social media in one form or another, and it's starting to run together. Global ad spending. This graph shows a shift in global spending primarily toward digital ads, a significant recent preference in internet ads. So here you got, like it's Zenith, their internet ads from 1999. They had a few. They began doing it back in the late 90s, and they grew and grew and grew and grew. TV ads did a lot of it. Oh, look here. About the time of the recession, it dipped down. But internet ads never stopped growing. 2008, recession, both television and newspaper ads dipped. As things got better, they kept doing TV ads. That went back up some, but it was surpassed by internet around 2015. And newspaper just slowly goes away for this company. For this data, this is a poll, a global spending poll. So the amount of spending in advertising has increased to nearly $300 billion, with most of that going to internet. Plus, there's so much internet you can do for free. Advertising terms: reach, number of people who are exposed to an ad. They talk about that a lot in traditional media. That's something that that online companies spend a lot of effort in their free analytics telling you about how many people you reached, like Facebook. X number of people watched your video for 3 seconds. X number watched it seriously, 3 seconds. X number watched it for a minute. But it never tells me how many people total watched it. It'll tell me how the peak audience. And I want to know how many people watched it all the way through, like our church services. I know how many people are watching it while it's on, but I want to know people actually watched most of it during the week, because it shows that we reach hundreds and hundreds of people by the end of the week, but most of them just clicked on it, went away. I want to know how many people actually watched it. Not that we're selling ads, but it would be nice to know. And I'm sure there's an analytic I could buy. Impressions, another term, is one exposure of a person to an ad being emanated or displayed once, just, you know, as you're clicking through and you say something. And also traditional media ads, if you'll notice when you're hitting fast forward, you still get an impression of the ad. You kind of know what it's for. And if you are actually interested, you'll go back and look, but you got exposed to what the ad is for. That's something I was talking to our priest about. I said, on the one hand, I can't tell you how many people watch the whole thing during the week, but at least this number of people are aware of our church. So from a brand standpoint, that's good. So people are aware that Grace Episcopal Church exists. Maybe they'll watch future worship services, and maybe when the virus goes away, they might come visit, because, you know, every organization, whether it's a nonprofit church or a business, you need to continue to get new customers, new parishioners, new clients, new whatever, because just to maintain, you know. Let's see. Some of these are often played in places where you're not paying attention, like stores, and you may not even realize you're listening to it, and you end up singing the jingle or something. Couple of notes about impressions. Just because an impression occurs does not mean that person is actively watching or listening. The impression does not indicate the quality of a person's attention to the ad. That's why the definition of impression is the person sees or hears the ad, an ad once. The definition of impression is the ad is emanated. The person has been exposed to it. Impressions indicate how many times an ad has been emitted. It doesn't tell us how many people are exposed. That's the graphic, not the graphic, the analytic I get from Facebook. I know how many people are exposed to our worship services every Sunday, but I don't know if people actually spent time there. Or I'm missing it. Maybe some of you could enlighten me, but I've read a lot about it. Frequency, and that's the problem a lot of companies complain about, but then we're not buying analytics. You could hire a company, you can tell me clicks and hits and things like that. Frequency is the average number of times members of a defined market saw the ads. So this is a very important concept. It's something that radio and television really emphasize. And they try to sell their ads so you can buy more than one. One ad on a radio or television station by itself usually is not worth very much, unless you buy one ad in a very popular morning show during prime time, or if you buy an ad at the Super Bowl. Some companies spend most of their ad dollars on the Super Bowl because they know they've got pretty much a captive audience. People don't go very far. They watch it for the commercials. So if they don't advertise anywhere else, they'll advertise there. GoDaddy doesn't advertise a lot. They advertise some, but most of their advertising has been in the Super Bowl. So they just one time, but you got 11 billion people watching it. So frequency, especially in traditional broadcasting, is very important. You want to run the ad often enough to where it sinks in, and you want to try to get something people will remember. Don't scream, call a Keem. I wouldn't call it Keem. He's the last lawyer on the planet. I can't stand that commercial. Hope I never need to call anybody. Effective frequency represents the minimum number of times that a person needs to be exposed to an ad before it makes a difference, or for a customer to take an action and respond to the commercial. So it goes from no exposure to negative exposure. So you can actually get to the point where you're annoying with your commercial. Like those lawyer commercials, I find them annoying. At first I thought it was pretty funny. And I remember it. Don't scream, call it King. Hawk Law. George St. Henry lawyers, call all nines. I can remember it. I can't stand them. I wish they'd go away now because they've gotten to the point of negative exposure to me. And it started, the excessive exposure started pretty early. I think it started before the number of exposures. And this also depends on your message. It depends on how you, if you come up with something clever that people like, it might even go viral. So it also depends on how you frame it. But commercials we watch over and over again, we tend to get exhausted with them. Cost per 1,000 is an important number to remember, especially in traditional media. That's how they set their the price of their ads. The total campaign costs divided by the number of impressions by the 1,000. That's the cost per 1,000. And so if you got a large number of impressions, exposures, you can charge more money. The M, by the way, stands for the Roman numeral 1,000. Here's a success model. It defines the noise from competing messages that consumers receive. The success model focuses on cutting through this clutter. Keep it simple, unexpected, concentrate, credible, emotional, and they like stories. People will listen to stories. Notice a lot of promotional ads for news. They talk about stories they tell, and it keeps you engaged. I was noticing CNN's promotions right now. At first you think it's a newscast, and you realize, no, they're showing you bits and pieces of what they've covered recently. And it's stories, and it's emotional, and it's credible. It's real. It's, they're saying that, and this is CNN, because, no matter how you feel about CNN, if you think they're a liberal bastion or they're a credible news source, people often turn there when something bad happens, because CNN has a good reputation of being there, especially in the early days. The networks, like when in Baghdad during the first Gulf War, CNN was the only network there. Everybody else, they weren't sure what's going to happen. They didn't have the infrastructure. Well, Ted Turner sent his people, and they were the only ones there covering it. And CNN became CNN that day. Of course, their news people were in the middle of a war. Nobody got killed. It's a very good movie about that. I think we've shown that in class before. So, as with most things, keep the message simple. And I will say this for the lawyer commercials, they've given us something we can remember. And if we were injured or hurt in a accident that wasn't our fault, it would cross our minds. And we might call it King or all nines or Hoglaw. I just find lawyers that do that not to be very credible personally. But I grew up in a time when lawyers weren't allowed to advertise because it wasn't professional. Ad campaigns, series of advertisements, messages that share a common theme, idea, and run for a limited amount of time. So McDonald's might want to promote its mobile ordering. A lot of places are doing that right now. People that didn't do it before March are doing that now. And they might run this for a little while. It'll become a commonplace thing, and they won't run it as often. Or like with their McRib sandwich. Or they're wanting to sell a special flavor of, well, think about October and all the pumpkin spice crap that people buy. Pumpkin spice toilet paper, so you can make your poop smell like pumpkin spice. Here are the ad campaign steps to run an ad campaign, series of ads, share a common theme. Remember unity. That's what I always push when I teach the design classes, commercial classes. You want to try to have unity. Whatever a customer is doing on another medium, you get a copy of that and you try to make your ad, your message resonate with that so they can get more bang for their buck And it just helps with that repetition and that impression. It gets more impressions that way. So you can actually ride on the shoulders of other ads and other marketing that people are doing, if you'll make it a united message. Although there aren't 3 or 4 surefire ways to guarantee a successful campaign, there are good general principles like clarify, ask, why are we running the campaign? Why do we want to do this? Because we got a buttload of pumpkin spice and it's October. We got to get rid of it. Set goals and objectives before the campaign so you can measure whether or not the objectives were met. And this would be good for anything you do, any project you're doing, including job searching. What do we hope to accomplish? Decide what advertising medium to use. Ask, where should we run the ad? And that often has to do with where's your audience. I work for Classic Rock 101.1. The majority of that audience, middle-aged white men. But there are a lot of other groups watching this, and it's not that they want to exclude anybody. It's just classic rock attracts a lot of people who grew up in the 70s, especially white guys. And that's why I mentioned to you a lot of times, you'll hear a lot of Harley Davidson ads, and you'll hear a lot of ads for lawyers, and you'll hear a lot of ads for erectile dysfunction, and I'm not kidding. Because that's where that audience is. And I already talked about some of this other stuff. Saying erectile dysfunction in class just threw me off. Decide what content to include and what format to use. What should we put in the ad? Should it be a lot of information about the product, the service, etc., or should it be like the insurance ads, a joke, a punchline, and then the name of the company? You might even not, so many commercials now, you don't know you're watching a commercial for a specific product till the end because they're good at hooking you. That's what they try to do. Like using crude humor. If it doesn't align with a particular company's brand identity, like I put that shit on everything. Not Texas Pete, Frank's Red Hot. The old woman saying that. People thought that was hilarious because an old woman was cursing, or kind of cursing. It's done in a way where you go, is she saying what I think she's saying? But they play it in some mainstream areas. I'm also surprised a lot of what they play in mainstream venues now. But I'll give you another example. The Planet. Think about the Planet's audience. Younger males who like new rock. Now, of course, there's lots of females that listen to it. Lots of people of different ethnic origins. Lots of people of all kinds of identifications that listen to it. But the majority of their audience are younger white males. When they turn 6 years old, they've been around a long time. They've been around a good 20, 25 years. When they turn 6 years old, they put billboards around town with 3 women who had bikini tops on, and you could see them from the chin through where the bikini top was, and the billboard said 6 big ones, 6 big ears. Now that offended a lot of people, and they got a lot of complaints, but their audience, the people they were trying to attract, loved it. And so it reached their audience. And now what you got to be careful about there, we live in a very conservative area. Some of you might be offended if you saw that, but you're not necessarily their audience. But on the other hand, you might call up one of the advertisers and say, that really was sexist. And if you're going to support that kind of crap, I'm not going to buy it from you. So you got to be careful with that. Know your Democrat. Know your demographic. Know your Democrat. Know your demographic, and know your customer's demographic. That's who your demographic is, and you're advertising for them. 5th, decide what time of year, week, month, maybe even time of day to run the ad. A lot of ads that are aimed at older market are played early in the morning and during the news time. for example. Still a lot of ads for cleaning products, for feminine products, for things that appeal to women, because still women do most of the housework in this country, and there's still more women staying at home or at home during the day than there are men. So they do sell a lot of products that appeal to people who clean and are female. Stay-at-home folks, etc. Now, you'll also notice, if you look at the history of advertising, you look at some cleaning products, the ads from the 50s and 60s, you'd see Beaver Cleaver's mother basically wearing a beautiful dress and pearls, mopping the floor, you know, like the father cutting the grass with a coat and tie and a pipe, you know, never happened. At least not in my experience. But anyway, these marketers, even though they're marketing to stay at home, mostly women, they're not saying for the housewife. They used to. They say for the housewife, the little wife that wants to make a home. You know, and there was a time where that wasn't deemed as sexist or insulting as it is now. You don't do that now. If you'll notice, they talk about how cleaning products save you time and energy. And you're a busy woman with lots to do. You've got to get kids to practices and pick them up and do this, that, or the other thing. You're too busy to spend all that time mopping. So you're not the wife anymore. You're the busy mother. And that's how times have changed. Now, and you won't see those ads often outside of those time periods, because that's where the audience is. And that doesn't mean that there aren't men that stay at home and men that clean. I do most of the cleaning in my house because I want to. It's just my thing. Decide the length of the campaign and how many ads to run. Check to see what goals and objectives have been met as time goes by, and review it. Look at your stats. They all work together to promote a product. All the pieces that go together is your integrated marketing communications. A cohesive combination of marketing, communications, activities, techniques, and media designed to deliver a coordinated message to a target market with a powerful effect. Synergic, that means it works together. Now, you know about the AIDA formula. We've talked about that in several classes. When you're putting together an ad, you want to get their attention, create interest, desire, and action. You get there, that's what a lot of ads do. They get your attention. They get you interested with the storyline or the joke, and they don't get to the desire until toward the end when they say, by the way, this is an insurance commercial. Call to action, buy our insurance. There needs to be a call to action. That's pretty much a rule of thumb. Most people say always have a call to action. Even when it's a promotional ad or for a charity, there's a call to action. Do this, give today. Don't smoke anymore. That's a call to action. You've seen that before. And that's it. Now, of course, I did not read that all to you verbatim, but it covers it pretty well. You do have, of course, the chapter, this is for intro. I'm looking at intro right now. I want to look at this class. You're not looking at it, you're looking at me. Hi. So, come on. Course units. I've already gone over all that with you, what I want you to do. Now, I have the PowerPoints up. I actually have all the PowerPoints finished through chapter 16. I haven't recorded all the lectures. So we will definitely do 11 and 12 this week, then 13, 14. And then probably next 3 weeks, we're going to finish this up. And that'll give us a couple of weeks to talk about a couple of other things and some kind of final project. and final project is probably going to be connected to the book. There's one in there, pretty simple. It's kind of a easy way to check that you're putting all these together, piece of the puzzle together, but I haven't decided yet. You see, this is my view. You can't see this. Boom. But I do have the study guide ready for Unit 3. I've already made the test. And so, you know, you can review that now, read ahead, and get it done. All right. See you next time. I'll have the next chapter up, hopefully Monday evening, if not sooner. Take care.